Hi, this is Malaika from Waterwheel Creations, doing what I love and loving what I do. Today's story comes from the book 9 Folk Tales, a publication by the Ministry of Education in 1968, Trinidad and Tobago. This is a story that you may not have heard before, and I'm certain you're going to enjoy this one. Madam Crab Loses Her Head. There was once in the forest of South Trinidad an old woman named Eauline Ashtine. No one except Madam Crab knew anything about her, not even her name. And Madam Crab was so old and crotchety that no one ever bothered to ask her questions. Eauline Ashtine was an ugly old woman with skin of dark brown like the color of roasted coffee beans and deep dark wrinkles on her face and hands. She had short, thick gray hair as gray as ashes, and her small eyes sunken into her face were almost hidden by bushy gray-black eyebrows. On the edge of that forest there lived a woodcutter, his wife and their little daughter. Eauline, the little girl, was 8 years old. She was black-skinned with very short black hair, and her deep brown eyes were bright and lively. When she laughed, her small white teeth sparkled, and dimples appeared in her cheeks. Eauline loved to collect wildflowers. One day, when she had collected a great many of them and played hide-and-seek with her shadow beneath the trees, she grew tired and lay down to rest. When she awoke, the sun had disappeared, and the forest had grown dark. She was frightened. The daytime sounds of birds whistling and leaves rustling in a gentle breeze had changed to the croaking of frogs and the humming of night insects. In her hurry to get home, she chose the wrong path, and without knowing it, went deeper and deeper into the forest. It became darker and lonelier. She hurried on, looking to left and right for some signs that she was nearing home, but none appeared. She was lost. Suddenly, she heard a coarse, gruff voice saying, "Who is there? Who is there?" Too frightened to answer, Eauline darted behind what looked like a short, crooked stump. It was the old woman, Eauline Ashtine herself. The old woman held her tightly and said, "Who are you? What is your name? No one comes into this part of the forest. Answer me." "My name is Eauline," the little girl cried, "and I am lost. Please show me the way home to my parents. I live on the edge of the forest." But Eauline Ashtine said, "No, come with me. The forest is too dark. Tomorrow I will show you the way." Eauline was afraid of the old woman, but even more afraid of the forest, so she went quickly. When they got to the hut, the old woman gave her a piece of hot roasted Johnny B and a light tea made from the shining bush plant and sweetened with plenty of cow's milk and sugar. Once Eauline had eaten, it wasn't long before she fell asleep. And Eauline Ashtine, looking at a little girl for the first time in so many dozen years, began to think up schemes which would keep her in the forest forever. When Eauline awoke next morning, she was anxious to be off, but the old woman had very different plans. She said, "Why must you go home? Stay with me. I have no one to keep me company or help me with my work. I don't think I will let you go on off." "Oh, what shall I do? What shall I do?" wailed Eauline. "Please, let me go home." She cried and cried until her eyes were red and swollen. Eauline Ashtine did everything she could to make her stop crying. She promised her lots of nice things to eat, but Ula cried all the more. And Chinan coaxed and scolded in turn, and then at last she said, "Very well, you may go. I will show you the way, but first you must tell me my name." "Oh, that is easy," Ula said. "Not as easy as you think," and Chinan warned, and the girl started guessing. "Is it Belle?" said Ula. "No, it isn't," said the old woman. "Is it Tina?" said Ula. "No, it isn't," said the old woman. "Is it Yola, Una, Gloria?" asked Ula. "No, it isn't." "No, it isn't," said the old woman. Ula called every name she could remember. Still the old woman said, "No, it isn't." "What can your name be?" Ula cried. "I know. You don't mean to let me go. You have no name at all." But Chinan said, "I have a name. Call it, and I will show you the way home." Then she took up her cutlass and went into the forest for the day. Ula walked all over the hut and garden to see whether the name was written anywhere. She questioned every insect and creature she met. "Mr. Cricket, Mr. Cricket, do you know the old woman's name?" Not me," said the cricket. "No one ever calls her, you see." "Mr. Grasshopper, Mr. Grasshopper, do you know the old woman's name?" Not me," said the grasshopper. And so it went on all during the day until the old woman came home. When she had put down her basket of herbs and her cutlass, she said to Ula, "Hello, little girl, do you know my name?" "Is it Anne, Margaret, Pamela, Stella?" said Ula, calling all the names she had remembered during the day. "Nope," said Chinan. "It isn't. And now it is time for your dinner and bed." Next morning, Chinan went again into the forest, and Ula, opening the garden gate, wandered out among the trees and tall grass. "Do you know the old woman's name?" she asked every creature she met. But they all answered, "No, we don't. No one ever calls her, you see." The day passed, and the old woman came back to the hut. Putting down her basket of herbs and her cutlass, she said, "Little girl, do you know my name?" "Is it Mary, Rona, Joan?" said Ula, calling more names she had remembered during the day. But the old woman answered, "No, it is not. And now it is time for your supper and bed." Again, next morning, the old woman took her cutlass and basket and went into the forest. Ula wandered out into the garden, through the trees and bushes down to the river. She was tired of asking questions and very, very sad. Sure, now that she would never discover the old woman's name and never see her parents again, she sat by the river and cried. Suddenly, a croaky old voice said, "Who is making that noise?" Madam Crab had come out of her hole, but when she saw Ula crying her heart out, she felt very sorry for her and asked, "Why are you crying, little girl?" "Because I can't find the old woman's name. She will not show me the way home to my parents until I can call her name," Ula answered. "I've asked and asked, but no one knows." "What a wicked old woman," Madam Crab exclaimed. "But don't worry, you have come to the right person. I know the old woman's name. I am as old as she is, and I remember her name well." "Oh, what is it? What is it?" Ula cried joyfully. "Tell me, tell me." "Her name," said Crab, "is... let me see now. It's something about wood, but spoken in patois. I remember it is Chinan. Yes, Chinan. You see, I told you I would remember. Chinan. Eauline said. Well, what an odd name. I would never have guessed it. What does it mean? It's the name of a wood, said the crab. A wood with a bitter bark. It suits her too. Oh, thank you. Thank you, crab, said Eauline, and lifting up the old crab, she kissed her all over. Careful, careful, cried the crab. I'm too old for such treatment. But she liked it just the same. The old woman will soon be home, Eauline said. I must go. Good luck, said the crab. I hope she keeps her promise. When the old woman got home, she put down her basket and cutlass and said, Well, little girl, what is my name? Your name, answered Eauline slowly, is Chinan. I found out, you see. Now you must let me go. Chinan was very surprised, but she said, I will keep my promise. Come, I will show you the way home. She took Eauline by the hand to lead her to the track she could follow. This is the path you must take, she said. But first, tell me, how did you find out? Someone told me, said Eauline, but I can't tell you who it is. Tell me, said the old woman, drawing closer to her. But Eauline moved swiftly. She tugged her hand away from the old woman and went running down the path as quickly as her legs could carry her. And Chinan went back to the house and picked up her cutlass. Then she went out again, and every creature she met, she asked, Did you tell the little girl my name? Which little girl? A Jack Spaniard answered. I don't know your name, a groundworm replied. But when she came into the river, Madam Crab said proudly, Yes, you wicked old woman. I told her your name. I am as old as you are, and I'm the only one who knows your name. The old woman was very angry. She lifted her cutlass and, swinging it down very quickly, cut the old crab's head off with one swipe. And this is why a crab has no head up to today. Madam Crab was stunned and in pain, but she said, Cut off my head if you like, you wicked old woman. The little girl is safe, but you are still alone with your temper and your bad manners. You've taken my head, but after all, I still have my back. Crick, crack. And that was the story of Madam Crab Loses Her Head. The story of 9 folk tales, a publication by the Ministry of Education, Trinidad and Tobago. I hope you enjoyed this one. This was Malaika, doing what I love, loving what I do, bringing stories to you from the Caribbean. See you next time.